get into it. So guys, here we are on the Bitcoin chart, and as you guys can see, we have gotten a little bit of a spill to the downside here today. Now, is this something you should be worried about? Again, is Bitcoin going to get this much bigger breakdown that we've been looking at on my live streams? And I'll be honest with you guys, Bitcoin is absolutely in the danger zone right now because we don't have much lower to go in order to potentially open the door up to get that much bigger move down. First off, looking down to 47.5, and then potentially down even into the mid to low 40s. And I'm going to get a little bit more into that in just a second, but this is definitely going to be the danger zone for Bitcoin. As you guys know, the Fed is expected to lower rates, and overall, this is typically bullish for financial markets. Even though it's not always an instant reaction, it does wind up being more bullish than bearish. However, I do think there is a possibility if we don't see things just start to randomly turn around out of nowhere, I do think there is a potential possibility that as we approach these lows that we made at around $49,000, we do have this very, very large wick, which oftentimes does wind up getting filled. You guys will often hear people say where it wicks, it sticks, or where it wicks, it goes. There is some truth to this in my opinion, and there is a possibility we could get a little bit more of a drop lower here. Now, obviously on my live stream, we have been looking for this to actually play out as price action's been going sideways here for about, we'll call it, for about 192 days. This has been absolutely brutal to watch, especially for content other than these little pumps and dumps. This has been absolutely sideways price action over the summer, which isn't that uncommon. However, the one thing I want to look at here, guys, is that higher time frame money flow on Market Cipher B, which was making us anticipate this downtrend to continue. As you guys know, the money flow indicates the longer term trend, and this money flow was not looking good on the 2-day, making us anticipate these lackluster bounces to the upside to put in lower highs, and then once again break structure to lower prices. Same thing here on that last dump down to $49,000 that we got, as we had money flow on the 3-day looking absolutely horrific, coming out here in all of its glory. We were looking for this to be a lackluster retracement up here into some very key levels, which I'll bring up right now. We were looking for price to come into this golden pocket, and then eventually, if we got above there, that next highest likelihood area to get the lower high for the continuation down was going to be this box here, sitting between about $64,000 and $66,000, where we had the 786 as well as a fresh daily horizontal, and we did wind up getting the rejection right from that zone, and we are now potentially looking to get that bigger breakdown. Before we get into the local levels here, guys, I want to talk about the bearish case. If prices do break down, what are some things we can look at? How low can we go? And let's dive into that right now. So I'm going to go ahead and pull off this local range, guys, and if we were to go ahead and see that bigger breakdown, the first major level that I'm going to be looking at is simply going to be this weekly naked point of control sitting at $47,480. So if we do wind up coming down to fill this large wick down here, this would kind of be that next major zone of support. And if we do get down there, this isn't necessarily going to be the end all be all level. We do have some levels underneath, but if we get that quick drop, very simply put, next key high time frame level is going to be 47,480, 47.5K to keep it nice and simple. So you're going to want to have that marked off on your charts. Now, if we were unable to hold that level and get an even bigger breakdown, guys, the next level I will be looking down to, yes, it is going to be down here in the mid to low 40,000s, where we have this naked volume profile. I would call it about 44.3 all the way down to about $41,000. This is going to be a very, very key level, because if we do continue down and we're unable to hold that weekly naked point of control, this is going to simply be that next major area of resistance, because as you guys know, the market is always hunting out fair value, and if price starts to lose that fair value, more often than not, if it's not going to create new value or find a new range, it is more often than not going to seek out a previous area of balance. And very simply put, guys, this is that previous area of balance sitting between $44,300 and $41,000. And we see this happen time and time again in the market. We were able to predict Bitcoin's larger moves from about 30,000 all the way up to about 48 to 50K based off this same exact idea of looking for price to hunt out that fair value and rotate these volume profiles. So simply put, if we lose this fair value, I will be looking down to this next naked volume profile between $44,300 and $41,000. Now, not only do you have the naked volume profile here, but we also have some other key levels, such as a monthly horizontal, which is just right on that point of control of that naked profile. If you pull your Fibonacci retracement from this low back here in August all the way up to the major high that we made up at about $74,000, you can see that this is where our macro golden pocket comes in. So if we did get that move down, it would make some sense to come down here and potentially test these lower levels in the mid to lower 40s, guys. I don't want to spread fear out there, right? I'm not saying that this is guaranteed, but remember, with the way this money flow has been coming down and the fact that we have that golden pocket and naked volume profile, if we were to see that bearish case, these are just simply going to be the highest likelihood areas to get visited, in my own personal opinion. If we pull up those heat maps, you can see there is somewhat of a significant liquidation level down there. Again, really what I like to see are these hot yellow boxes, but once we start losing about 45K, 46K, you can see there really is nothing all the way down till about $34,000, which coincidentally is coming in right near that 786. So again, I am not calling for a $30,000 Bitcoin or anything like that. I just want to give you guys these key levels underneath us, so if we do get the bigger move down, you're not panicking, and you simply have those key levels on your chart that you could look at and be like, okay, I'm going to sit on my hands, wait for that nice key level of support, and right now, very simply put, that is going to be the weekly naked point of control at 47,500 if we get that bigger drop, and then we lose that. Very simply put, I will be looking down towards this range where we also have a couple of other weekly naked points of control underneath, so maybe if we were to get back down there, you can look for price to respect this range. Maybe we deviate below and then get the bigger move up from there, but again, if real panic ensues, just remember that macro 786 is sitting at about 34,371, and if you come up to a higher time frame, guys, I highly recommend you guys do this, especially if you're new to crypto, and you may have bought up here at the top, which is not uncommon for new people in crypto. Zoom out to a higher time frame here, because it could feel very scary if you were buying up here and now you're feeling this big drop to the downside. But just understand from a long-term perspective, guys, I always talk about my my average buy-in for Bitcoin's around $20,000 to $21,000. So this is really not that scary. Even if we were going to get that big pullback to $42,000 to $34,000, like this would be a macro Fibonacci retracement, and it wouldn't really necessarily break any major structure in my opinion, especially if we come down to that golden pocket. We may just kind of go down there, test. We still have a potential possibility to keep that bullish market structure on the higher time frames, and that would keep the door open for a potentially bullish 2025 if we wind up seeing that happen. I do want to go ahead and take a look at some of these local levels that we're hitting right now, because these are high time frame levels. They may take weeks or months to come down and hit, but if I pull up these local levels, guys, you can see this is a level that we've been looking at on my live stream for like basically every single day, since we've been ranging around here, and that level has now been tapped, sitting at $55,000. I think the title of my live stream earlier this week was like, is 55K incoming, where we looked at this exact scenario playing out. So if you're not subscribed to the channel and you don't want to miss these live streams so you can have these levels before they get tapped as well, make sure you're subscribed and turn on notifications. But here we are sitting at that 55K zone, and I'll be quite honest with you guys, not only do we have the golden pocket, but we also have a fresh daily down here as well. As you can see, $54,015. If we're unable to hold this level, guys, very simply put, I will be looking down to $52,353, and in my opinion, that is going to be the doorway to much lower prices, because if we get a move back down there and we do not hold that level of support, I am simply going to be looking at that $47,500 level, as that 786 could be our last hope of support. Now, guys, remember, we do have the expected rate cuts coming, which is typically a bullish event. However, we could potentially see that turn into a sell the news event. So just be careful. I do think we are on the verge of seeing a very big move on Bitcoin here. Money flow in the higher time frames will be calling to the downside, but maybe we could get a bullish black swan if the Fed cuts rates more than people expect. But remember, that can always go in the opposite direction as well. So with all that being said,